For Americans who like stories about the little guy standing up to a big bully, we've got one for you. Right now, your northern neighbor, Canada, is facing off with rising superpower China. Why are China and Canada at odds? Well, the flashpoint for these tensions were Canada's stubborn determination to follow the rule of law. An extradition request from the United States for Meng Wanzhou, the CFO of China's largest private firm, Huawei. She was arrested in Vancouver Airport on U.S. charges related to the violation of sanctions against Iran. Individual Canadians who live in China are Beijing's hostages in the struggle. Canadian Robert Lloyd Schellenberg was arbitrarily retried and sentenced to death in China on drug charges. 2 other Canadians have been detained despite having committed no crime that we know of: Michael Kovrig, a former diplomat, and Michael Spavor, a businessman. Both were detained shortly after Meng's arrest on national security grounds. Given Beijing's track record, there's good reason to fear that they might have been tortured or abused. Yet when Canada expressed concern about the fate of these citizens, China's ambassador to Canada, Lu Xiaye, published an article accusing Canada of Western egotism and white supremacy. Perhaps there is someone somewhere who believes that China stands, that their recent treatment of Canadian citizens is not retaliatory. But Canadians know better. Canada has acted in accordance with the rule of law, its treaty obligations toward America in arresting Ms. Meng. She is currently released on bail and staying in Vancouver, where she owns not 1 but 2 luxury mansions. On the other hand, Mr. Schellenberg had already been retried and given death sentence on a brief show trial. In an unusual move, the press was invited to cover the proceedings so that the Canadians would be well aware of the sham being perpetrated. The 2 things Americans should take away from this struggle are: first, that the Chinese Communist government has revealed itself to be a regime of thugs that will stop at nothing to get its way, including the threat of judicial murder. Second, if America wants allies in the struggle over China's place in the international order, it will have to show that it backs its friends and confronts its enemies. Canada is in this pickle because it honored its commitments to America. It is time for the United States and other allies to show a united front against the bullying tactics of Chinese Communist regime. U.S. Secretary of State Michael Pompeo said that China's action against Canadians are unacceptable and politically motivated. These public statements are welcome. President Donald Trump has reportedly agreed to put pressure on the regime to free the Canadians. That's wonderful too, but a more coordinated approach is required from Ottawa and Washington. It's true that Canada has wavered at times when the United States has sought the support of its allies in imposing consequences for bad Chinese Communist behavior. Whether it was taking action against China's anti-trade abuses, blocking participation of Huawei in 5G wireless network, or showing strong support for Taiwan, Canada has frequently fumbled the ball. But such appeasement is falling out of favor in Canada now. Canadians know better, that we must respond firmly as China increases the pressure, but we can't do it alone. Firm American support in the face of Chinese belligerence would do much to repair the Canada-US relationship, while putting Beijing on notice that this bad behavior will only further isolate itself on the international stage.